Mute.
Who's that?
Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to acknowledge our gathering on the traditional territory of the Sabat people. I'd like to call this budget meeting for 2023 on Tuesday, March 7th, 2023, and is transmitted electronically to be held at the council chambers at the temporary location at 38 King George Street, Lake Cowichan, BC. Tonight's meeting will be reviewing our water and sewer. And I'll turn to staff.
Okay. We go through this every year, so we do a budget process, and we've become accustomed to just throwing figures that look good at the end of the day. What we need to be cognizant of, and council needs to be cognizant of, is that realistic numbers should be used. I mean, they cannot be just numbers that doesn't make any sense at the end of the day. And also, we have to budget estimates that are realistic, and that can be accomplished in a given period of time. So if you just budget both these projects that cannot be accomplished by year end, either we have budgeted early, or just change them. That's what we want to do. Just satisfy council that these are things we want to accomplish, but at the end of the day, we're not prepared to finish. So I think for council to then look at the project and say, because you did not accomplish these, we should be looking at other projects. That's not good financial plan. We should plan properly and spend money as we see fit. And we cannot spend more money than we have, because you have to have a balanced budget. And when it comes to council dealing with staffing requirements, that should be something that I come up with you guys and say, well, we're short here, short there, because we cannot use additional employees as an excuse for covering up basically ineptness or inefficiency. So that's not what the taxpayers expect. They want good service and a good value. A municipal budget now needs to be based on fund budget. The funds have to be self-balancing. That's something we should be cognizant of. We have general fund, the water and sewer fund, and capital fund. The general funds depend largely on taxes, fees, and grants. The water and sewer funds rely largely on user fees, parcel taxes, and grants. So we start the budget process with the funds that rely greatly on grants from senior levels of government, if we are to accomplish large-scale capital projects in those areas. We do not currently have adequate funds to cover large infrastructure requirements. And that's why we depend on the senior levels of government to fund those. But at some point, even senior levels of government may say, you know what, you haven't done your planning very well, we may not fund those projects. They may fund a new project, but we may not fund the same project again. So we have to put money aside in surpluses, in anything, in the reserve fund, and cover those if there's requirements that come up. Having surplus in any or all the funds should be a good thing. We should not see putting money into the surplus being not of any value. And I think with that, we can deal with the water and sewer funds, which, as I indicated, depends largely on user fees, grants, and parcel tax.
Mayor McGonigal.
Thank you. Thanks for the preamble, Mr. Fernandez. I think we have to be cognizant, first of all, that we are in the service business. Municipal governments are providing services to the community, and it should be provided at the most prudent level that we can do it. On the same note, I think your comment about senior levels of government with budgeting for larger projects shows that we are a little bit behind in our asset management. As moving forward, that will be a prerequisite of any further grants that may come forward. So that may be something that we should be focusing on moving forward in our strategic plan. So the intent tonight is to work on the water and the sewer funds and then take a break and look at the strategic plan moving forward with the recent announcement of the community grant funding on how that can be allocated once that paper comes out on how it can be allocated. So just looking at some capital projects that might be incorporated into that community grant. It was quite vague in the initial statement, stating infrastructure, recreation, etc. But there probably are some prerequisites that are required within that paper that will be coming down shortly. So with that, I will stop.
Madam Chair, if I could, you want me to chair those two budgets? We can do the water fund first and then that class?
Is Councillor Frisbee online?
Yeah.
Can he hear us?
Can you hear us? Councilor Frisbee?
I can hear council, but I can't hear Mr. Fernandez very well.
Okay,
That's because of the owls.
so you missed all that, eh? Okay,
I got the majority of it.
So we will send you the water and sewer budget. So you
no,
can,
we've already done.
you've got it, you can follow along.
So I can start talking to this budget while it's being shared on the screen. So for comparative purposes, I've prepared the water fund budget showing both the budget and the actual since 2020. And I'd like to start with the expenses. You can see the budget for 2020 was 817,900, and then it goes to 893,964. And the proposed budget for expenditures for 2023 is 907,400. So it's $1,000 increase from last year. There hasn't been a lot of increases in the operational costs in the budget. As you can see, the expenses over the years do vary. We've been short-staffed in the water fund, so that was one of the reasons why it's been under budget. And we're hoping to eventually get a position in there, or a person in there to fill that position. Below the line, you can see the amortization and the capital. The amortization hasn't yet been posted to the 2022 actual, so keep in mind these are preliminary numbers. They have year end for 2022 has not yet been finalized. And you can see what the capital numbers are that were spent since 2020, with the breakdown going below. For 2023, we've got a prior approval for the water main design as well as water main upgrades already. And there's also an additional 20,000 that the superintendent has put in for the North Shore pump station upgrades. The revenues in these funds are self-explanatory up above. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. And I'm not sure if the superintendent has any additional information to add on the capital.
I don't have anything. If you have questions, we can talk about it.
Here we go.
Parcel tax currently is showing for sewer at 540,600.
Water, yes.
Water.
Is this DCC inclusive?
That's just the parcel tax.
Where would the DCCs reside?
They will only reside there if there was a new subdivision. We can't really estimate those.
They go into the reserve.
And they go into the reserve fund, so they don't affect.
So they're in a water contingency?
No, it goes into the water reserve fund.
Okay. Or
DCC.
sewer, whichever.
Yeah, which is the statutory reserve fund. You can't touch.
So with the implementation of the increase in the DCCs, those surpluses will expand in the future
No, not the reserve fund, because that's separate.
from the DCCs?
The DCCs are separate from the operating fund.
Right. So
And-
in that DCC
It was-
surplus,
Yeah.
with the increase in, and can those funds be utilized for improvements in the water and sewer
Only for those projects that are
moving
That-
forward?
moving forward, you can only spend money on projects that are identified in the DCC worksheet, the worksheet. that,
Yeah.
Why those funds are being raised.
Perfect, thank you very much. And that has a year delay until it.
No,
is-
it's actually effective now. It's a year delay for those who have.
We're already
applied for subsidy already.
Perfect. Thank you.
Just for clarification, so the parcel tax for the water and sewer, that's the yearly one that taxpayers pay. And how is this used
Using the operating fund.
as an operating fund? Okay. Thank you.
Mayor McGonigal?
Through you, if I may. So the ones we've already pre-approved, the water main design and water main upgrades are incorporated into this budget, correct?
Right.
Thank you. Pretty self-explanatory.
It is.
These ones are easy to go through, if I may, Madam Chair.
And the water fund simpler than
Sim-
the sewers, and we
simpler,
thought we'd
yes.
do the water. Start with the simpler one.
Thank
So if
you.
there's no other questions, we'll go to the sewer fund.
Can I ask just one more, because it's just vague in my head. And so where's the reserve fund that we put away for like replacement of the water treatment? Where does that money show here?
It doesn't show in your operating budget.
Okay,
Or the fund budget, it doesn't.
so where does that?
Unless
It'll
there's a,
show on the audited financial statements when they're presented.
Okay, so there's a portion that gets put away every year for,
yeah, you have to budget.
you have to budget for, okay.
Okay, so let's go to the sewer fund. Okay. For the sewer fund is the same information with the 2022 year-to-date actual not yet finalized and the draft budget for 2023. Again, you can see if you start with the expenditures first. In 2020, the budget was 458,000, actual was 403,000. And that has not changed significantly to 2023, where the budget's only gone up from the last year's budget of 498,000 to 502,000. So it's a $4,000 increase. Where in the sewer fund, it's the capital expenditures. We've budgeted for $2.88 million in capital improvements. And you can see the breakdown of that below. We have some upgrades to the lift stations 1 and 4 for 60,000. Greendale Engineering and Construction at 1.1 million. I think that number is yet to be firmed up.
Yeah.
But whatever that number is, it is going to be debt that's paid by the residents in Greendale. So you can see up above where it says debt Greendale residents. Those two numbers match. So we budgeted another $20,000 to automate the sunny dump system. 180,000 for inflow and infiltration. $20,000 for sewer modeling. And we have applied for a grant for the sewer treatment facility. We've estimated the costs of that being 1.5 million this year, with the grant offset if we are successful of 1.2 million to that. So you can see the 1.5 million below, and the sewer facilities grant is the 1.2 to offset that.
If I may, you have to show expenditures on and revenues on the 5-year plan for the senior levels of government to even think with planning on it. If you don't have it in your financial plan, you might as well might as well write it off.
Can I ask a question through to you? So our sewer treatment plant upgrade, so that was applied last year, was
Last
it
year.
2022?
Year ago.
So are we expecting, if we do get the funds, will there be, do you think, an increase from last year when the project was costed out?
Oh, well, definitely. The
So,
thing is, they will only provide grant based on the numbers we gave them,
right.
so they will not provide us any additional funds.
And is there a timeline that these announcements will be made?
Right. Yes.
Spring, okay. Thank you.
And if I may, I think spring's a long time away looking outside. Snow in the forecast.
So once, we've got these numbers, nailed down, we will come forward with a 5-year plan to show you in the next 5 years. And this, sewer, project will be budgeted over 3 years. 4 3 or 4 years.
4 years.
Mayor McGonigal.
Thank you. Through you, if I may, on that grant application, our portion is 20% on that application.
Yeah. It's the project is estimated, was estimated over 10 million. And we applied for the balance that we were entitled to, 10 months.
Right. Our contribution will be 20% of the project, even if the prices have gone up.
Plus, we would be paying more than.
Right. Because on 2022 numbers with inflation and et cetera that has transpired since then, we would be on the hook for any increases in that costing. Just so everyone's clear. If I can continue, Madam Chair, on the Greendale sewer engineering and construction through to our superintendent and or our CAO. What is the number on that again? 1.1 for the engineering,
No, the 100,000 was for the engineering.
and the other million is for the construction?
Construction plus management of the engineering management.
Perfect, thank you very much.
Again, that could be going up with the cost inflations, so we don't know.
And on that issue, if I may, we'll have to go back to the residents to see if they're still on board with the project. And not, I mean, when I first approached all of the residents, there was nobody who opposed it. But the cost we have to tell them what's going on.
And just to remind everyone, if I may, Madam Chair, sorry, when Greendale came into the town provided water, and in the future, those residents were to provide the sewer and then hook into our system. So that was a contingency of joining the municipality and moving forward. This is the second portion of the incorporation of Greendale into our community.
Any other questions?
I know.
Anything from staff?
So if we have to bear the 20% cost over the grant money, where does our 20% show?
Our 20% is basic.
In this year, we have enough in the 2023 budget, just from the parcel tax and whatnot to cover.
Our share.
Yeah, our
Okay.
share.
Perfect, thank you.
Because if you look at the grant, shows that 1.2, right?
That's right.
And then the project cost is 1.5. So this year, we would be covered 300,000. Of our legal fees and whatever.
So with the money coming in that we projected and the money going out, it's coming to a $3,500 deficit budget, so it's pretty much covered.
Okay, so that's where the money's sitting if we were successful with that grant.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And one of the other things that communities are having a hard time wrestling with is the supply chain issue and inflation. Most municipalities are having quite the task of trying to get a budget because of that. I think communities surrounding us are facing that issue.
Anything else?
Councillor Frisbee, anything from you?
Checking that.
No, shook his head. Okay, I have one more comment, if I may. Wondering on the audited financial statements, when they do come, they will show the revenues within both water and sewer on that year end.
Yeah, it's actually consolidated. They
Right.
won't show them separately.
And then looking forward, because we know we have depleted the water reserve due to the water treatment plant. Almost. That will show basically what is needed in the future for replacement of that at 20 or 25-year lifespan on projected costs. Taking into consideration that last year, inflation was 7.1%. So it's hard to think about that 5-year plan, and I do not envy you at all moving forward on the 5-year plan. But it is a projection, and 2023 is the actual focus that we have. But for grant purposes, et cetera, for applying for that 5-year financial plan is extremely important. So just remembering that those are not concrete numbers. Each year moving forward, we will dig down and go into the depth of those budgets, but it'll be interesting to see those numbers when the audited statements do come up.
And on the sewer grant that we applied for, the treatment plant, should those numbers go up considerably, we will have to amend our budget accordingly. So it may not happen this year, probably. Soon as we get the estimates back, we'll have to amend the second, third, and fourth.
Councilor Maka?
Can I just ask our superintendent, what's the reasoning behind no budgeting for chlorination?
We're not using the liquid or the gas chlorine anymore. We're using salt, which chlorinates and stuff. So it's just in one of the other.
Ah, okay, thank you.
It's better to not show coordination, because that was one of the things that works if it asked us to get out of. Yeah.
Okay.
Anything further? So
Question here?
should we do question period now?
Yeah, just one thing, I think, council needs to be aware of the lift station upgrade that going to be undertaken this year, and maybe superintendent can speak to that.
So lift station 1 and 4, they're both, well, we'll start with 1. If the electrical stuff is 1970s, ever since that lift station was put in.
Can you give us a location where one is?
Right beside the riverside, thank you, sorry. And that, we're having some issues there, ongoing issues the last 3 or 4 years, so we're gonna get a electrical engineer to have a look at it and design a new system, probably with a SCADA, so it's all right up to date, and then we'll go from there and see what it's gonna cost to replace it.
Are we looking at automated system there too?
Yeah, live with the SCADA, so it can all done off-site computer stuff. So that's what we're doing with the Greendale one too. It'll have it won't have the SCADA in it. It'll be set up for one. So. And pump station number 4 is Pine Street. That's our main one that everything goes through. It also needs some electrical. Again, it's had a few upgrades, but not enough. And we've got a couple of pump issues there. We're gonna work on that.
Any questions, Councilor Frisbee?
No.
Okay. Councilor Maka?
Sorry, but so if we had 100,000 budgeted last year and the actuals were 328 for those upgrades, was it just a matter of we couldn't get the work done? That's
Well,
why.
yeah, again, with supply chain and even trying to get engineers and contractors, it's become very difficult. We got a project now, we got engineers, what's it been, Joseph, 8 months, 9 months?
Yeah, took a long time.
Yeah.
Almost a year now.
Wow.
Supposed to have it tomorrow.
Hmm.
Now, the other item that should be discussed is the Riverside Force Main. This was a project when highway was done, redone. Connections were brought underneath, it was not, they were connected, both, not connected at both ends. They need to be at some point, otherwise pump station number 4 will really be, not be able to handle it.
So what it is, there's a new line that comes across the river and it comes to King George intersection. And then when Riverside Drive was redone, there was a new pipe put in here too, but the connection's never been made. So we've probably next year, we'll try and look at it this year, but probably next year we'll get that one hooked in.
I mean, it was budgeted a couple of years ago for 50,000. We haven't done it.
And so does that money that's budgeted, it just goes back
Into the surplus. It goes into
the
surplus.
surplus? Okay,
And, you know, it's just as well, otherwise,
that you use it,
yeah, we can reuse it or use it for something else.
okay.
And that was one of the reasons that, just again, we got you guys approved the money for Nelson. That was why, one of the reasons I asked. Because Duncan Paving's so busy trying to get contractors, so they can fit us in this month. And then they don't know when they can come back.
Perfect.
There's no more questions from the table or staff. Let me just.
Just one other item, I wondered if you wanted to stop the Danny dump system. Probably a good thing to move on forward with it, but you'll call.
So what will that entail then? Like the machine, it'll be a different machine where you can use a card?
Use a credit card. Think of an interact, maybe?
I think Interact and credit card. Yeah. Then what it is, once you've paid, it opens up a magnetic lid. And when it closes, the next person has to pay again.
Dan McGonigal?
And will the water be connected to that as well?
Unfortunately not.
I think that's another problematic area.
That's the important part.
And I know 20, if I may, 20,000 wouldn't cover both of them. But at least we would get true numbers on the usage of the sanding dump with an automated system, and then can look at how we can control the water, maybe in a future budget. Maybe we could consider that in our 5-year plan, because we have seen some abuse of people utilizing that water in bulk. So that would be something I would like to see moving forward, and maybe we can discuss that in a strategic plan as maybe a goal in the next 5 years or whatever we establish for our strategic plan.
The other day, the INI, I think we sort of budget little bits and pieces every year. And at some point, we should be looking at a large scale project. We ran. We need to identify what it is that we want to do before we go for that.
So will any of these projects go forward with the funds that was the government announced, like 1.96 million? Would that be looked at as possibly some of those projects?
Additional projects.
Yeah.
So question, the 20,000 then for that sanding dump, is that price is for the complete install,
Yes.
not just for a study?
No study.
No study,
We've got the
just-
prices. There's only one company in North America that I could find that supplies it.
Mhm.
It's out of the US. That gives us the equipment and installation. There's some other fees. They're minimal to set up the credit card machine and stuff.
And so are they able to do it from start to finish, or is it another supply and?
No,
labor?
they have the equipment we can have within weeks.
Oh, wow.
And then
Okay.
it's us getting a contractor to get it installed.
So that's a doable then. Perfect, thank you.
If anybody wanted to pay cash, like say nobody had a card, will there be something there for? No. So we need to be clear on that.
It won't open that.
Okay, so we need to be clear on that, that it's a debit or a credit card.
That's what we accept.
Yeah.
And something to use.
We just have to be proactive and announce this on a regular basis so people, are aware of it. Good sign up there, no cash, just.
I think most people carry a credit card or a debit card, probably more than cash nowadays anyway.
Yeah.
I won't show you my wallet. I'm married.
Oh, stop.
And I'm not the financial director in my house.
All right,
That's invest. I want to piggyback on the INI. I think by doing incremental studies that we can identify some of those spots that are infiltrating into our outflow that is causing some concerns. But there is a need for some mitigation at some point. I think that was where you were going.
Yeah.
How we can incorporate that once we identify the problem areas on a 1 to 5 basis, for instance, and then focus on the major ones that are infiltrating. For mitigation.
And one of the other things is we have never undertaken a liquid management plan or study. And I think at some point that needs to be done.
can I ask what that is?
On that. I think Mayor might be able to answer.
Good management plan is to deal with your effluent and what your plans are. And I believe it's a 1-year plan moving forward, how it can be treated better and differently
And reduce.
and reduced. A lot of communities are utilizing wetlands as a filtration system. Or getting it out into ground source, similar to a septic system. But you need the right land mass and the right soil content for that. So I think the South End is doing a liquid waste management plan moving forward, and significant costs on moving their outflow in the Sandwich Inlet with surrounding First Nations that have concerns as well. So I'm sure it would be a convoluted process, but much less scale than the South End.
And the reason I bring that up is when we applied for the grant for the sewer treatment site, that was one of the mentioned by the Ministry of Environment. This is something that the town should undertake. We have not, and I think that's sort of holding us back a bit.
For, for an example of what Tim was just saying, Francis Kelsey School has gone to a small scale like years ago when they built it. Their effluent is all treated on site and they irrigate their fields with it. It's an underground irrigation system.
It's not like this is the first time this has come out to get the effluent out of the river.
Yeah.
But millions and millions and millions of dollars will be needed to incorporate that. I think it's a great idea if the funds were available, but not on the backs of taxpayers.
No.
Absolutely, that would.
Some municipalities are actually installing another line in, and they're sending treated effluent back into the community for your irrigation. Your drinking water is one, your irrigation for your lawns and gardens is another.
Purple pipe.
Gray water.
That'd be all right, it works.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. If there's no further business, we'll go to question period. A maximum of 3 minutes per speaker and maximum time allocated is 15 minutes. Will be limited to the items on the agenda. You may phone in to 250-749-6681 extension 108 or email to general@lakecowichan.ca. Again, 250-749-6681 or email your question to general@lakecowichan.ca. And we will come back in 3 minutes. 5:12, exactly, Mayor McGrath.
Precisely.
Thanks.
Are we muted?
Any questions or emails?
No.
Joseph?
No.
Nothing? Okay. Aaron, do you have any questions?
No, it's just making me think. He's outside.
It's outside.
Just take a look.
What's he doing? What's he doing? Well, he's having a good time. There you go. Happy girl. We're having a good time. Okay. Oh, a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Austin, seconded by Councillor Pamaka. All in favor? Carried.
Gee, this-
Motion carried. Like that.